Three, two, one, action.
Hi, I'm Gracie Lowe's.
And I'm Nicole Soroka, and welcome to As Seen on Screen.
As Seen on Screen is your source for entertainment news, reviews, interviews, and conversations.
Join us every week where we discuss the latest releases in film, television, music, and so much more. So, we wanted to start off this first episode by introducing ourselves a bit and saying how Gracie and I met and how we came to be hosting this podcast. So, Gracie, do you want to start off a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm 21. I just graduated from my second program at St. Clair College. I did journalism and then I did public relations, which I just finished. Super happy about that. And I also have my own business, Backstage Features. I started it back in 2020, so gotta love COVID times. And then it just kind of kept growing, and it actually took me to TIFF last year, which is where I met Nicole.
Yeah, so I'm currently 19. I just finished up my second year of journalism at Toronto Metropolitan University. And right now I'm the film editor for our campus radio station, Met Radio, which is kind of how also I met Gracie going to TIFF last year. So yeah, we connected through the Media Inclusion Initiative last year at TIFF, her and I were both part of. We stayed in contact. And then we also traveled to Austin, Texas last month in March together to go
So
to the South by Southwest Film and TV Festival for Backstage and for Met Radio. So that's how we've kept in touch. And through talking, we just decided we both talked about how we wanted to start a podcast. And that's
how we got
got
here,
here.
because we love talking about entertainment. So we figured, why not talk for a full hour about
Exactly.
entertainment?
Exactly. Why not put, instead of texting about it 10 times a day, put
Yeah,
it to good
just put
use?
all our effort into a video or audio if you're listening on Spotify or Apple. But yeah, speaking of us keeping in touch, we went to South by Southwest, and we had booked, well, Nicole had booked her ticket before we knew the whole film lineup.
Yep.
And for those of you who know South by, they usually keep the closing day film under wraps, which is great, builds anticipation, but it sucked in our case because it was the idea of you this year. And Nicole and I were both super excited to see this film. And we're very heartbroken when we realized our flights left the day before this film was supposed to premiere.
Yeah. So backpedaling a little bit, we didn't know we'd both be going to South by Southwest until like 2 weeks before the festival. Um, I had booked my flight and hotel back in January, and
Oof.
then it was like middle of January, and they announced the closing night film. They announced the idea of you end of January. So I didn't know that then. And then when Gracie and I found out she'd be going as well, we were like scrambling to try to figure out if we could stay another night because we left Friday night and the closing night was Saturday night. And so we were scrambling, but ultimately we didn't end up staying to see it or anything. So we found out they were doing an early release screening at the TIFF Lightbox Theater in downtown Toronto. April 23rd, they were doing the screening. So Gracie and I knew we had to go immediately. We got tickets when they went on sale. So we're very excited. So we're going to be spending the next little while giving our ideas about the idea of you and talking about what we liked about the film and all of our thoughts as it doesn't come out on Prime Video until today when you're listening on May 2nd. So for those of you who don't know what this film is about, here you go.
IMDb coming in strong. The film follows Selene, who's a 40-year-old single mom, and she begins an unexpected romance with 24-year-old Hayes Campbell, who is the lead singer of August Moon, which is basically like the hottest boy band in the world. Picture like One Direction, but like right now. And yeah, they get into like a whirlwind romance, and it's rated R, FYI. So that tells you a lot.
It is. So the film stars Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galzatine. And the big thing about this movie was the draw was that it's kind of like another Wattpad adaptation of fan fiction. It is based on a real book. The idea of you, it is based on a book, but
Yes,
um
by Robin Lee.
yes. but it has a very Wattpad feeling to it because Anne Hathaway, she plays the 40-year-old mother, Nicholas Galzatine plays the 24-year-old. So it was a lot of fun. It was really interesting, the audience actually, when we went and saw the screening, because we were expecting all people our age, and that was not what happened. It was a lot of Anne Hathaway
Respectfully,
fans.
respectfully, a lot of Anne Hathaway fans, but a lot of older women
Yeah,
as
which
well, which was so nice to see.
it was,
But
but was not what I
I
was
was honestly
expecting.
expecting like teenage girls
Right?
because Nicholas is just such a heartthrob right now
Mhm.
in everything he does. So I was pleasantly surprised by the different range of people that came, especially the boyfriends. Shout out to the boyfriends that showed up for that movie.
I mean, Anne Hathaway, come on now. She is Anne Hathaway. So I feel like they weren't complaining. I feel like they were all good anyways.
True. Very true.
So what were your immediate thoughts? We left the theater. What were your first thoughts of this film?
Honestly, I left with the biggest smile on my face.
Yep, I
And
think we both did.
even thinking about it now, I still get kind of like giggly about it because I don't know, we had such high hopes going into this.
We did.
FYI,
We
we
did.
were so convinced that we were either going to be in love with this movie or we were going to be thoroughly upset.
Yeah.
Um,
Good news, we weren't upset.
we were not upset.
We were very
I mean,
pleased.
I was upset about little things, but like
Yeah.
those are fine. Um,
Overall, they did a really good job.
Overall, stunning. It had me kicking my feet and giggling along with the rest of the theater. I've never heard so many women giggle
Right?
at one point. But yeah, I don't want to say a feel-good movie, but it is a feel-good movie.
It does. It
But
has that.
it also has a lot of depth to it, and it covers a topic of like not only age gap, but like learning how to love at certain ages in life that aren't normally talked about past like teen love. So it was definitely interesting to see that. And the performances were just like stunning. Like they hooked you, they had you laughing, crying, giggling, sweating. It was a lot.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think the thing that made this film so great for me was the chemistry between Anne and Nicholas. I think their chemistry is unmatched. I can't remember the last time I saw a film that the two leads had such good chemistry together, and I think that definitely made it, especially with a role like this, where you really had to be convinced that in this type of unheard of scenario type idea that these two really were matching and they were getting together well, and they definitely did a really good job of portraying that. And I think like even just there's a we'll talk about different points in the film, but there's a painting in the film, and I forgot to mention this, but at the screening, the director and co-writer Michael Showalter was also did a Zoom call with us, so he talked a lot about it post screening. Um, just so many different little intricate ideas that went into the behind the scenes making of this, and how Michael even spoke a lot about how Anne had a hand in a lot of that, and it really made the film. And like you look at these films and you're like they can't be that intricate. Like, you know what I mean? Like they can't
Yeah.
rom-coms, romance, like, they only have so much depth to them, but this one
Yeah.
totally proved that differently, and I think they did a really good job of crafting this film.
Honestly, I feel like there's such a misconception of romance movies.
Yep.
And you know what? Sometimes it's very true. Like there are certain movies that you watch it and you're like, wow, not to hate on them because I love them, but Hallmark movies are like, you know what's gonna happen. You know it's just an easy movie to watch
Of course.
because it's kind of like pointless. But don't get me wrong, I love Hallmark movies, watch them all the time with my mom. Um, but that being said, it does give romance as a genre a kind of like bad rep in the
Yeah.
point where no one expects intricate and like thoughtful processes or like things that were very heartfelt to be in this. They just expect it to be something that girls watch
Right.
just to like vibe.
And I think a
But
big topic
yeah.
too lately has been the resurgence of rom-coms. I
Hmm.
think there was a lot of dip in them, and especially with streaming, a lot of them go straight to streaming now. You see a lot less rom-coms in the movie theater than
Yeah.
you did, say, even like 10, 15 years ago in the earlier 2000s. But we saw with Anyone But You this year,
Hmm.
the idea of You is going to streaming on Amazon Prime. But nonetheless, definitely a resurgence of rom-coms lately, and I love it because who doesn't
I
love a
love
good
that. Yeah.
rom-com?
This is giving rom-coms a good name. Obviously,
Absolutely.
it's there were a few people who thought it was a bit out there with the age gap, but the movie does play to that where it talks about how society kind of views that age gap,
Yeah.
depend no matter what age it is. Obviously, for them, it was 24 and 40, but it talks about how society looks at women versus men in these types of relationships and how it should be talked about more, and it's not always a bad thing to accept. But yeah, honestly, I think it was. I said this walking into the movie, and I remember you giggled, but you agreed with me. I was like, look, I know it's a romance movie, and we haven't even seen it yet, but I want Nicholas and Anne to be nominated for some awards for this
Right?
performance because, yeah, it's a romance, but they put their heart and soul into this. They were a part of the creation process with their characters, with the script, with the music, with the costumes. Like they put their absolute everything into this, and I think that should be appreciated.
Absolutely. I think you hear a lot in different news outlets and stuff when they talk about Anne Hathaway, how she's always very much into the creative process of whatever she's doing. Michael Showalter even mentioned in the post-screening Q&A, he talked about how Anne even had a hand in picking out the color of the wood or the stain of the wood of Celine's house and stuff like that. So I think she deeply cares about her roles, and I think that's shown greatly through her projects as well. And that's admirable. And I think not that Anne Hathaway doesn't have enough recognition for what she does. She
Give
definitely is
her more.
beloved.
Overall rating. What would you give it?
Ooh, I think okay, on Letterboxd, I think I'll give it a 4 stars. So I'd give it like a solid 80 then, I guess. Out.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good at giving the same ratings. Like we're
Yeah.
on the same wavelength, but I was torn between a 4 and a 4.5, just because there's always room for improvement. But we really wanted one more like intimate scene with them because there was such a good opportunity for it, and it would have been like, I'm not just saying that because they both are very attractive people, but it would have fit the storyline so beautifully
Yeah.
if they had put it in like the last little bit.
It was very heavy with intimacy at the very beginning. And well, like towards the beginning when they first form a connection, and then as the movie goes on it's like less and less or like just little snippets of it and less like actual scenes of it, and towards the end they share a passionate moment, but it's really more of just a kiss than anything else. So I was like, come on now, like come
Come
on,
on, no.
we want
Honestly,
it.
yeah, as much as that scene could have given more, it was so beautiful
It was.
because once again, we talked about the director being there to answer questions, and that came up as a question because there's this scene is basically like them kissing. I don't want to say anything that hasn't happened, but like they're kind of leaving each other in a way, and the light above them starts changing colors while they're kissing. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's changing with the emotions, like red for anger, blue for sadness, etc.
Right.
But the director, although it was pretty close to what I thought, the director was saying it more so relates to the painting that basically the whole movie kind of centers around. The painting basically represents like what you feel as a person. And for Anne Hathaway's character, she says she feels everything when she looks at it. So I thought it was really creative and a beautiful tie-in to use the colors of the painting at this like heartbreaking scene, basically where they are feeling absolutely everything at once.
I think it was a good scene to showcase growth. I think that definitely had a big hand in it too, as this things were changing in their lives, and it was definitely a significant moment of growth for them and changed the course of where the movie was going from that point and what happened after that. But I thought that was really well done. That was the one thing that stuck with me after the screening where I was like, that really showcased the depth of the film. And once you see it, if you're listening, once you see it, you'll understand what we mean by it. I just don't want to say too much to give it away, but definitely had a lot of backstory to it and thought to this connection that they had, and it was very raw. So I thought that was really well done, and I thought that was a really good turning point in the movie as well.
That was one of there was a few points where I got teary-eyed. And I said this when we walked out. I was like, I cried because Anne Hathaway cried.
Yeah.
And I don't like seeing her cry. I'm like, don't
No.
cry. Don't cry, Queen. So the performances definitely did a number on my emotions, just
Yeah.
because like it goes wide range really fast.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
like 1 minute I was so happy, and then the next I was so heartbroken. And then you were like annoyed because you're like, I can fix this for you guys.
Meh.
But you can't because it's a movie.
I know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Literally.
about the music in this film because it's definitely another huge aspect
Oh,
of it. It's a not musical
I
part
love
of
the
it.
music in this film. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, so there's a fake band called August Moon, and Nicholas Galzatine is, I think he's supposed to be the head singer in,
Yeah.
right?
He
Yeah.
is obviously the head singer.
Yeah.
Shout out to the
Um
other guys though, because they were fantastic.
oh, they were. They were, again, they were in a lot more in the beginning than anything like that, but they did a really good job when they were in the film.
I
But at the moment we're filming this, there's two songs out. Okay, what's your favorite song right now? There's Closer and there's
dance before we walk. Yeah, honestly, I mean, Taste is coming out, and that from the movie, like I clued into which one it was, and I was like, oh, I cannot wait for this one to be out. But as of right now, I really vibe with Closer.
yeah.
Although I do get a bit heartbroken listening to it now, knowing what we know about that song. So part of me is like, damn. But part of me is like, it's a catchy song.
It
It's got
is.
the
You know what?
vibes. It's got the vibes of summer.
For a fictional band, they really killed it. I'm not gonna lie.
They okay, there's rumors they're going on tour, and I could not be more sold on that idea. Like, I am so excited. Not only do I love Nicholas, but his voice is stunning.
Yeah.
We were talking about his voice the other day in Cinderella, which was one of the first big things he did.
Yep.
There's this clip going around TikTok of him singing, what was it, Seven Nation Army?
Yeah,
I
I think
think
so.
that's the song,
Yeah.
and he does a gorgeous riff, and he's such a good singer. And I
He really
think
is.
this putting him in a band setting where all the guys had to sing but also work with each other to create these harmonies and this dynamic of a boy band that I looked at you a bunch of times and I was like, this is giving me old One Direction vibes, like 2016 One Direction.
Yep.
So that made me really happy. But yeah, I'm super excited for this album. I it's just they're so cool. You can't not like them.
One of the interesting things Michael talked about in the Q&A was he talked about how they made some of the concert scenes happen. And so at the very beginning of the film, how Celine and Hayes first meet and they meet at Coachella. And so they were talking about how they put the set together for August Moon. And he spoke about how I think they were in Atlanta. He said they were in
Yeah.
Atlanta and they actually used a real concert stage to put it together. And they had like it looks like there's a bajillion people there, like you're really at Coachella. And they had it all going, and he said they set it up. They had six cameras, filming them, and they set it up just like a real concert. And he said they had a lot of fun with it. And you could definitely tell that through the screen. It looked like everyone, the crowd was
I
having an awesome time.
literally would have paid to have been an extra in that moment in time. Like I was obsessed with all of it.
But they had like floating mushrooms and
Yeah,
I forget what the other set pieces were, but he was talking about creating those and how they had fun putting those together. So I thought that was really cool because they did a really good job not using any special effect. Well, I'm sure there's some special effects, but
yeah.
to the extent of what it is that they really did have a concert going essentially. And so I thought that was pretty cool too to hear about.
Definitely. There's so much we could say about this movie. Like we could probably talk about it. Well, we have been talking about it for days now. But it's just a great movie. I mean, everybody's gonna take it differently, which is the beauty of like movie going and art. Luckily, we got to see it on a big screen, which I
Absolutely.
think was a big bonus.
I think anytime you
Um,
get to see a movie on
yeah,
the big screen is a bonus. That is my belief. I think it's tailing off for a second, but streaming is good and great, but it's a shame when you see really good movies go straight to streaming and you think either you did have a chance to see them in the theater or when you watch them at home and you think that would have been so good. They would have done great in the box office. People would have loved
mhm.
this. I think there's lots of aspects when you watch films at home, you're like, this just did not. didn't go as well on a small screen than it would get in big theater on the screen with big sound and a lot of people around you watching it. I think going to the movie theater and seeing movies is an experience unlike anything else. And so I always think it's sad when a really good movie goes straight to streaming
Definitely. But definitely check out The Idea of You. It's out now.
on Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah, and it's worth a watch at least once. Give it a try. If not
Absolutely.
for the romance, for the music.
And for Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galvatine.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, I think next we're going to talk a bit about some of our weekly watches, a segment we're going to do every week, talking about film or television series that Gracie and I watched since the last recording of the episode and share our thoughts on it. So I'm going to talk a bit about Abigail. If you,
Go ahead. I haven't seen
yeah,
this, but I've been loving the reviews. And as you know, I'm a huge fan of Dan Stevens. He is such a sweetheart,
fun fact,
but he needs to stop doing horror movies. Thank you very much.
you want to watch him, but just not, you can't.
I'm a big scaredy cat, so I watch them when they come on to streaming so I can like cover my eyes and there's no loud noises, but I do
Ah,
it for Dan Stevens.
there we go. As I just finished bashing somewhat streaming, Gracie's like,
Sorry,
um,
continue.
but no, but Dan Stevens, fun fact, Gracie and I both spoke to him at South by Southwest for the North American premiere of Kugu, and he's just the sweetest human being. I just have to start by saying that. He always plays so I saw an article this morning, someone wrote about him where he always plays like the weirdo characters and he kind of plays like the off person in all the horror movies
Literally.
he's in. I will say, in real life, he's the sweetest guy ever. So
Lit for context, I was freaking out because I loved him in Beauty and the Beast. I thought his voice was fantastic. I thought he was good looking, and he's just an overall like charming guy.
he has the
Like
package.
he has gorgeous blue eyes too. But we interviewed him, as Nicole said, and then before he walked into the film premiere, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna shoot my shot. And I was like, can I please get a picture with you? Because my younger self is just freaking out. And he was like, yeah, for sure. And I went to go grab my phone, and bless his publicist, she was like, let me take it for you. I was like, oh, thank you. And then Dan was like, why don't you come on the red carpet with me so I can give you a hug and we can have like a proper picture instead of just like a selfie. And I just looked at Nicole and I was like, am I gonna get yelled at by security? And she was like, just go, just go.
But also
So
his publicist, the nicest publicist I've ever met too.
true.
I had
She was
talked
so
to
fun.
one just before he came for one of the other cast members, and she was carrying the actress's purse. And I kind of realized that, but I was just trying to like make conversation with her because she was standing right in front of me. So I was just like, "Oh, I love your purse," and she's like, "What?" I was like, "Sorry,
Sorry.
never mind, never mind." But
Yeah. Anyway, Abigail.
Abigail. So okay, I'm the opposite of Gracie, and I'm a huge horror movie buff.
Mhm.
So love horror, love thrillers. Abigail, I gave a solid 3 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd. I think it was good. I love Melissa Barrera. I think she's always, in the Scream movies, she did a fantastic job. Abigail, she does a fantastic job. Dan Steve, everyone in this cast had a great performance. Dan Stevens, Alicia Weir, William Catlett, Catherine Newton, Kevin Durand. I think they all did a really good job. I just think it just at the end it trailed on a bit too long at the end where I got to the point where I was sitting there and I was like, okay, let's wrap it up. What can we possibly now have go wrong here? Like this
Yeah.
just needs to wrap up. So I think when a film gets to that point, I'm kind of like, okay. But the concept of it's interesting. So for you guys who are listening that haven't heard of Abigail yet, it says after a group of would-be criminals kidnap the 12-year-old ballerina daughter of a powerful underworld figure, all they have to do to collect a $50 million ransom is watch the girl overnight. In an isolated mansion, the captors start to dwindle one by one, and they discover, to their mounting horror, that they're locked inside with no normal little girl. Abigail is the little girl, and she turns out to be a vampire. I feel
A
like
ballerina vampire.
she is. She's a ballerina vampire. So it's kind of comedic already in that sense, where you have a little girl and a lot of the scenes where she starts chasing some of the characters, she instead of running, she's like to like twirling around and she's doing like jetés and she's jumping and everything. And I'm like, I couldn't take it seriously because I'm just laughing at this girl who has like two sharp sets of teeth in her mouth, but then she's just like beautifully jumping across this
Hmm.
stilted mansion. What is going on? But overall, I thought it was decent. I think if you like horror, a lot of people are comparing this to Ready or Not, which
You know,
is
it's
another
done
one.
by the same directors, and Ready or
Mm.
Not might be getting a second movie, so I'm super excited for that, but continue.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for that one too. Um, but it definitely has that vibe from the directors. And so if you like those kinds of movies, I definitely suggest it. It's a good watch. I think it's funny. It's not like too it doesn't take itself too seriously, so I think it's a funny watch. But yeah, it's an interesting concept. I do have to say these days in the world of where we have so many sequels and
Hmm. And
prequels
remakes.
and remakes, I appreciate anything that comes out that's original and
Yeah,
not its original concept. And I
it's
thought it's
new. You haven't
yeah,
seen it before. It's
exactly.
great.
So I thought this was fun. So definitely go check Abigail out in theaters.
It's also, I haven't seen it yet, but it's definitely one of the horror movies that I can sit through because I do well with comedy mixed with horror,
Yep,
because then I just laugh the entire time.
that will
Other
definitely.
examples of that are Dan Stevens' Cuckoo. Giggled through that one, even though I was terrified. And other movies like I want to say the It franchise. I
They're so good.
wasn't, I was scared, but like I was vibing because I was laughing at myself and laughing at the other characters. So I feel like horror movies like that I can definitely do. So if that's a rating scale for anyone listening, if I can watch it, you can watch it.
There you go. Perfect. I really put Gracie through the ringer at South by Southwest with trying to bring her
Literally.
into horror movies. So apologies, but
Yeah.
yeah. What is your watch of the week?
My watch of the week, I'm still heartbroken that you haven't watched,
Oh no, I'm
but
sorry.
mine is Fallout. I was really excited for this show because we went to South by, as we keep saying, and that's like our biggest flex at the moment is going to Austin. And we were invited to this experience where you walk into the town of Philly, which is within the Fallout universe. And we got to do like this immersive experience where you could scan different QR codes. You got to eat a bunch of the food. We had the best pop of our life.
It's
I don't know about
delicious.
you, but I was loving it.
Oh,
Nuka-Cola, so good. We got to
it
play
was
some
peach and
fun
mango
games.
flavored. It was delicious.
Okay. I wanted to take some, but we couldn't bring it back over the border, so
That would have been an
that was a
issue.
problem. Yeah, we got cool merch and it was cool talking to all the different characters and we met the dog from the show, if any of you have watched Fallout. But yeah, Fallout's basically it's on Prime Video. It just came out recently. It's based off the video game and there's basically the end of the world is going on, and a bunch of people were sent underground or paid their way underground to these vaults to survive, with the hopes of repopulating America in around 200 years when all the radiation from the bombs has gone away. And it follows Lucy, who is a vault dweller. She was born and raised there, and her dad gets taken by some people from the outside or the wastelands, as they call it. And she goes on this huge mission to go and save him, and she learns a lot about herself, the world, or what's left of it, and also her dad and what the vaults really means. I thought this was such a cool show. Like, I had high expectations walking into it because our immersive experience was so cool and so positive.
Yeah.
Um, but the show was just so thorough and well thought out. The only thing I wasn't totally in love with was each of the episodes were like an hour and 5 minutes. And
Wow.
that's long for me.
That's a
But
lot for a show.
that is a lot for a show, but I appreciate them going in depth and trying to fit all the lore in and all of the fan information because it does have a very large player and fan base. So it was definitely nice seeing everybody's reactions to it. And it got pretty, I'm pretty sure it got like 98, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. It got really high. And that's rare for video game or book adaptations. So that was nice to see. But the acting in this was amazing. Ella Cornell, she gave an amazing performance from start to finish. Her character didn't know much about the world. Like she was living in a vault, so you don't expect her to know lots. But you see the growth that this character goes through and how she kind of realizes she can't live her life a certain way. Like that everyone in the vaults wants to live it by the golden rule, but obviously life throws things at you and you have to learn to adapt. So I think it was really refreshing to see her character take that in and adapt with it while still staying true to what she believes in. And also it shows that like if you're positive, it's really cringy, but like if you're positive in hard times, it can really rub off on people. And it's so much easier than being negative. Because if she went up to this like destroyed land and was like, damn, that sucks, it'd be a really slow show. But she was looking to make the world a better place, and I was here for it. Also, I love the ghoul. I don't know what it is. He is iconic. I love him, and I cannot wait for season two to start filming.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's exciting because it was just announced last week that it was renewed on Prime Video for season two. So that's exciting for any fans. But even though I haven't seen it, I have also heard nothing but positive reviews about the show. So I promise I'm going to watch it. I am excited to watch it. I just
Watch it on
haven't had a
Prime
chance yet.
Video. Like, there's a lot of plot twists, so it keeps you on your feet. But also the ending, I'm like, I need season two right now because I need so many answers in such little time. So yeah, definitely check it out on Prime Video. I'm hoping Nicole does, but
I will. I promise. Maybe by next week I'll have an update on if
maybe
I've
that'll be your
started it
weekly
yet.
watch.
Well,
Yeah.
those are our weekly watches, so check out Abigail in theaters now and Fallout on Prime Video. I think the next thing we wanted to talk about was album drop of the last 2 weeks. The topic, Tortured Poets Department by Taylor Swift. What are your, I think both of us are pretty big Swifties. I mean, I wouldn't, okay,
Yeah.
this is my thing. I was a big fan of Taylor Swift as a child. Big fan. I'm a country music fan. So then when she made the official switch to pop with 1989, I was devastated. And I kind of dropped off a little bit of our girl, but I am back now and I'm excited. So I thought this album was pretty well done. What did you think?
I know we talked about it a little bit, but yeah, I'm a huge Swiftie. Like, obviously, I've had moments where I've been very hardcore Swiftie, and then like life happened and school happened, and it was more a little less like just taking time to listen to the music as opposed to be like a huge fangirl, which is my personality. Um, but I love Taylor Swift. I think she is an icon, and I was super excited for this album. I knew there was something else going on though with the double release happening because she kept putting up like twos
Yeah.
everywhere. So I was one of those Swifties that was like, something's coming. I don't know what, but I'm prepared for 2 a.m. And she released the rest of the album. So now the entire album has 31 songs. And my thoughts on it is I think it's stunning. Like I love how honest she is with her writing and her creation process. The only problem I have with it, and this is me personally, but I know you agreed on it too a bit, it is so wordy that I
Yeah,
don't know how I'm gonna memorize 31 songs where I don't even know what half the words mean.
I know. I mean, you gotta give it to the girl that she's just a lyrical genius. And
Oh yeah.
for her, like, she just has such an ability to bring I mean, she's a songwriter, so I'd hope so. But she has such an ability to bring new ideas to the table about similar topics. I mean, obviously she's notoriously known for heartbreak songs, I think that one of the things I admire about her a lot is just her ability to constantly bring these new ideas up. And I mean, as she goes through new experiences in life, it's not just about like the same guy or the same instance, but she just has such a way of making you feel like seen with some of the songs, like depending on what you've gone through as a person too. She definitely has a way of connecting through her music when you don't even know really what's going on with her, but you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I know that.
I
I feel
get
that. I get
it.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like, do you have a top song right? I haven't listened
I
to
was
all
just about to say
31.
favorites.
I have not listened to all 31 because I was in the middle of exam season, as
Yep.
were you. We're a
My
little bit
favorite
biased.
is okay, my favorite is So Long London. I really
Okay.
I really like that song. Also somewhat relatable, so that added to that. But I thought it was really, really well done. That's another one where, like, going back to what you said about like her use of language, she
Mhm.
uses a lot of British slang in some of her songs, and so I'll be like try to sing it in the car as I'm driving to work or whatever, and I'm like, I'm just not British enough for this. I don't have the slang down yet, so gotta
Yeah.
practice a little bit more. But So Long London's my favorite.
I feel like mine sounds so basic because they're the ones that like everybody's been listening to, but I haven't gotten that far, you guys, so please don't be mad at me. I can do it with a broken heart,
Oh yes, Cat's my other one
a
too. Sorry.
banger. Like it's one of the it's it is the song that you're like, this is the most heartbreaking lyrics I have ever heard in my life,
Yep.
but it makes me want to dance. Like the beat of
Right?
it is just so upbeat, like 1989 type feel. And these lyrics are so depressing. So you're like crying while you're spinning around the room.
Have you seen the girl on TikTok where it's like she rates the twerkability of the different
Literally,
songs and she
like
made one video just for this one and she's like I feel so she's like crying and then she turns and twerks and then she
literally.
turns back again.
I'm like, I don't know what to do with this song because half the time I'm like jamming out, and then half the time I'm like, this is so sad but so relatable.
Right?
Yeah, so definitely that one. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? The vocals in that one, but also the story again, so cool. But like so touching, and like it gives me goosebumps to hear the different ranges that she uses throughout the song, as well as like the layering of her vocals at certain parts.
Yeah.
I think it's just overall all of her songs are like beautifully put together. Like one of the deluxe ones, I guess. The Black Dog is
Yeah.
really good. Very poetic, as all of these are, because
As
it's
the name
the
suggests.
tortured poets department. But yeah, I feel like it's definitely you have to sit down and appreciate the songwriting
Yeah.
as opposed to the song as a whole. Like, not to just try and throw names, but like this isn't Fearless, where we have songs that you can just like sing in the car, know off the back of your head. Like this still takes some time for the Swifties.
You gotta
Not speaking for
absorb this
all
one.
Swifties, but yeah, it's deep, it's poetic, it's very honest about her life without giving too many details.
Yeah. She says a lot without saying anything directly or specifically, as the Swifties do. They usually like to
They're searching. But yeah.
I think it's really interesting to read some of the backlash that her album's gotten. I think it was Variety that posted a negative article. Was it
Mhm.
Variety? That yeah.
There were a lot of negative, like I saw a lot of people giving it like 2 out of 10 stars. So funny though, because then the Rolling Stones gave it an instant classic badge.
That's the thing. Like music is just so
I don't think you can rate it because it's
no.
to the interpreter.
Exactly. There's the word I was looking for.
You're
You gotta
welcome.
interpret music, and everyone has a different genres that they like.
Hmm.
And Taylor Swift does such a good job at changing her genre. Like her albums don't, especially more now than when she was younger, they don't sound the same. They all, as you know, we know she has different eras in her music. And so I think about her as that a lot of people either love it or hate it or they don't, but then it changes with the album because every album tells a different story and so different. And I admire that about her music as well. But I think it's interesting that and I think a lot of the negative backlash too revolves around it's like, oh, this is a slower album and this and that. But it was like
Dude,
from
folklore,
the
evermore.
from the promotion and the title of the album itself, did you not
Even the color
pick up
scheme,
on that?
like
Yeah, right? Like,
Color
There
scheme
was
gave me slow.
the Tortured Poets department does not sound like it's going to
They
be.
wanted a 1989 album.
I don't know. I appreciate this album. I think
You
it's
know what?
good.
Yeah, props to her for doing what she wants to do.
Oh
I
yeah.
think Taylor Swift is like her own genre at this point. I saw a tweet the other day and it was like, life's too short to pretend you hate all Taylor Swift songs. And
See?
it's true because
Exactly.
you should be able to admit there's at least one. I
Right?
know
Like
there's at
she's
least one. Like, don't lie.
I think
Um,
it'll be interesting to see what she does. We were talking about this, you and I, the other
yeah, I
day
was just gonna say that.
on for the Eras tour. I'm excited because
You're so mean for that. Sorry. She hasn't even said what she's gonna say, but you're so mean for that. Long story short, she got tickets to the Toronto Airs tour and I did not. So
no,
we're beefing.
I was just gonna say I'm really interested to see what she does on the Europe leg of the tour, and then when she comes
Oh.
back and does Toronto and Vancouver, I think it'll be interesting to see what she does, whether she incorporates the Tortured Poets department or not. Like when we were talking, we said because on the poster we see the eras and stuff, and obviously
Yes.
Tortured Poets department isn't a part of the eras for the merch, for the advertising, so she would have to change that around in some ways, you'd imagine.
Yeah.
And I don't think like because it's continuing the tour, so I don't think she'll change it up too much in the
Yeah.
middle of it. Like I just can't see her throwing in a whole new set of songs
I
because then she
mean,
would have to take out some of her other
yeah.
ones, and then people who have already seen the concert over the last year and a bit will be upset. So, and she can't be on tour forever.
What I was thinking was like, obviously she can fit it into the merch, but I don't think it's fair to the other people that have gone and gotten the merch
Yeah,
to do like a completely new Eras tour. So I'm thinking it'll be like surprise songs,
yeah,
and then like maybe a separate tour when she's done the Eras tour for like when Reputation Taylor's version comes out. And obviously another album that she's probably going to have that's original to go along with the Tortured Poets department. Because realistically, the only thing I could see her doing is like taking out of Folklore and Evermore
yeah.
to make some space. I'm vibing with the set list as it is. Like, I
Yeah.
enjoy surprise songs. I'm still upset about the mashup surprise songs because instead of losing two songs, I lose like six. I'm not even going, but I still lose them.
My thing with the surprise songs, if I don't hear something from Speak Now or Debut,
They,
I'm gonna cry. I just Taylor, if you're listening, night one Toronto, Speak Now or Debut, please, please.
yeah. I feel bad for saying this, but I really hope she doesn't play You're on Your Own, Kid, because she's played that a lot.
There's a
And
few where I'm
I
like,
love the song. Don't get me wrong. Love it. Makes me cry every time. But I don't want to see it if it's on the movie.
you
I
know,
mean, I'm not even going, so what am I saying? But for you,
thank you,
all the best for you.
thank you. I'll just FaceTime you the whole time. I'll put you in the chair beside me.
Literally, I'll be sobbing. No, we'll like strap a GoPro onto you or something, and I'll just watch through that.
I think that'll look totally normal as I'm walking through Rogers Center with a GoPro on my
Yeah.
head.
All right, speaking of music,
Yes.
let's go into another segment. Really
Song of the
original
week.
name,
Yeah.
Song of the Week.
What is your song of the week, Gracie?
My song of the week is a lot of people's song of the week, but Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter.
Ooh, yeah, I've
So
been hearing a
good.
lot about that.
It's so good. It's just a good summer bop. Like she said she wrote it in Paris, I believe. So it definitely gives off the vibe of like a rom-com or just being in the vicinity of Paris and being in love,
Mhm.
but also knowing your worth at the same time. I have been nonstop listening to that, and I think she's so iconic for saying, I'm working late because I'm a singer.
I think mine is Josh Ross. He's a Canadian country singer. He came out with his first EP a few weeks back on March 29th, and I've been listening to his song Tell Me a Lie on repeat. There's a lot of good songs on the EP, but Tell Me a Lie is definitely the one I keep having on repeat, and I just keep listening to it, and I just love him. He's so good. I saw him in Pickering in January, but I love him. So,
Support Canadians.
yeah. But those are our songs of the week. So stream Espresso and Tell Me a Lie on Spotify after you listen here. Okay, so we are getting close to the end of the show, but how we're going to end off every week, including this week, is some upcoming releases for you guys in television, film, and music. So, first one comes to mind, coming out today on Max, Turtles All the Way Down, the adaptation of John Green's book. I've actually never read Turtles All the Way Down, but I'm excited to see this movie. I've heard good things about it. I like Isabella and Felix. I'm
Hmm.
failing their last names right now, but I know they're the two stars in it, so I'm excited for that one. I think it'll be good.
I was gonna say I love Felix from Ginny and Georgia, so I'm definitely excited to see him in a different role,
Yeah.
like different perspective. And having an adaptation of another John Green book just brings me back to like 2015.
Right?
So I'm excited for it. I remember
Ah,
Paper Towns and all that.
yeah. Next
Next one.
one, we've talked about it a lot in this episode, but the idea of you, last reminder, is also out today on Prime Video, so definitely stream that.
Hmm.
Tomorrow, as we look ahead into the box office releases, one that I cannot tell you guys enough to go and see is The Fall Guy. I promise this is the last time I'm bringing it up, but Gracie and I were at the world premiere at South by Southwest, so we saw it almost 2 months ago, and it was just such an incredible film. I went into
Stunning.
it and I was like, this is either going to be like man, it's okay. Or I was really hoping it was going to be awesome. I had high hopes for it with, I mean, when you have stars like Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, you kind of go in with high expectations already, but
Yeah.
it just exceeded all of them. It was so, so good. It has something that everyone can appreciate. There's lots of romance, which you might not necessarily gather from the trailer, but it's actually really just one big action-packed rom-com. So there's romance and comedy, there's thrill, there's mystery, there's action and adventure. So anyone in the family, the friend group, whatever is going to love it. The soundtrack in this film is
Oh,
killer.
good
Lots of Taylor
soundtrack.
Swift, Bon Jovi. It's just so good and it's perfect in time for the summer. It's perfectly timed. This is giving me Maverick vibes in all the best ways.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
not obviously not the plot at all, just
Yeah.
beginning a summer blockbuster movie. It's just so good. So comes out tomorrow
And you
in
know what?
theaters.
It's an original movie too, not a
Yes.
remake.
And I
It's
think
original.
and what they did with like I keep seeing this in a lot of reviews, but it's like a love letter to stunt people, but it's
Yeah.
so true. The whole movie revolves around the idea of stunt people and what they go through and kind of what they put on the line just to create movies for us to enjoy on the big screen. So so admirable. They broke a few records, so you can see that in
Yeah.
the film, but they did break a few records for stunts people with filming this film. No CGI is used, so it's just so 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 good. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt deliver such exceptional performances. So
Hmm.
please, please, please go see The Fall Guy in
We are
theaters
the
tomorrow.
official promotion team for the Fall Guys at this point.
100%. When they at the festival, when the account on X
Yeah.
retweeted, I think that was like my best moment of my life. I'm like, this is the closest I will get to Ryan Gosling. My X
Literally.
username on a video of Ryan Gosling doing a somersault was peak for me this year. So
She
go
said that
see.
is my life.
That's my claim to fame right there. So go see the Fall Guy for sure. Make that your job for the weekend. Go see Fall
Yes.
Guy.
And another South by film that we saw. It's not gonna be like this next week, I promise.
We promise.
But I saw the TV Glow is an A24 movie that's coming out in theaters same day as The Fall Guy, May 3rd. So you can have like a double feature. Go see The Fall
And
Guy,
if
then
you're
go
in the
see
States,
this.
if you're in the
Oh,
States, it comes
if
out in
you're in the
Canada
States,
May 20
May
or sorry, May 17th.
17th. Yeah.
May 17th. So Canadian friends, wait a few weeks.
Wait
But
a few weeks. But it is
yes.
a good movie. It makes you question everything you know about life and
Yeah, oh yeah.
humanity and TV shows. It's been 2 months since we saw it, and we still don't really know what we watched, but
I
we know
still
that
sometimes
it was good.
it was good. I still sometimes think about it and I'm like, was I supposed to feel like I had an existential crisis? Because that's kind of still how I
Literally.
feel.
Yeah, you're like, is this movie just telling me what's happening in my life right now? Or no?
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure the answer is no, but we'll never know for sure.
You let us know.
Yeah,
You go
you
see it,
let.
everyone, and let us know what you think about it. But yeah. And the last film on the list as well, coming out May 9th on Netflix for this week is Mother of the Bride. I don't know too much about that actually. I haven't heard too much about it.
Honestly, the promo for this hasn't been great. It's on Netflix's site, so you know it's coming. I think they're gonna wait until like the last possible minute to really start promoting it. But there is a trailer out. I believe it's a remake or like a spin-off of Father of the Bride.
Ah,
I could be wrong. That's what I've seen from the trailer.
I love those movies. Steve Martin, I love you. You, some of those movies, Mitch, by the dozen, Father of the Brides, they're so good.
So
I
we're
love them.
definitely walking into this movie with no expectations, but I think we'll be pleasantly surprised based off of the trailer that we've received. It seems like there's good chemistry. It seems like it has a solid feel-good type movie vibe to it. So I'm excited to watch it and see what I come out of it with.
Love it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, on the music docket, Dua Lipa's next album, Radical Optimism, comes out tomorrow on May 3rd. So I'm excited. She always has such, again, going into the summer, last year, she gifted us with so many great soundtracks with Barbie. So she
Yeah.
always has some good summer anthems, always.
Honestly, all the singles that she's released, she's getting a lot of hate on these singles because people are like, oh, they all sound the same. If it works, it works. Like,
Exactly.
it sounds good. It's a vibe. It gives me like disco eras, ABBA type feel.
Yeah.
So I'm really loving it. I love Houdini, love Training Season, love she just put out Illusion. Um, I think her writing is creative. I think her sound, she's really found her niche and
Yep.
she's banking on it as
Yeah.
she should. So
Perfect.
anyone who doesn't enjoy it, just don't listen.
So those are the upcoming releases for the week with film and music. So definitely check those out over the weekend. You have time to catch up on all things before next episode when we talk about a few of them. So that is all
Yeah,
we have for today. So thank you so much for tuning in to our very first episode as seen on screen. I'm Nicole,
I'm Gracie.
and catch us next week, same time on Thursdays, wherever you get your podcasts.
Bye.
Bye.